I've finally discovered who wrote my article. All along it was my brother. Paul, my brother, and I have always had a tight relationship. Despite the age difference, I'm 18 and he's 23, we have always been together. We were always together, even when I was a baby. We would never be called apart. It would always be, go get the kids, or the kids want to do this. They want to do that. My best buddy, he has my undying love. I mention it so you won't assume that I'm just saying it for attention's sake or that I despise him. However, he asked me to get out with a few of his pals on Saturday. He's always wanted to be the one to take me to my first pub, and this Friday was my 18th birthday. We left at around 7 o'clock in the evening, and as soon as we arrived, they pushed me into a booth, and we began to drink. I can't recall how much I had or when we left, but I do recall that after about 30 minutes, something wasn't quite right. Even though I was only having my first pint, it felt like I had consumed much more. And since I've had alcohol in the past, I know how to respond by now. In addition, I was undoubtedly more inebriated than usual. We eventually departed, and I am certain that I was returned home in some way. I recall being assisted up the steps of the porch. I don't recall anything else until the following morning when I awoke feeling as though a bus had struck me. It was nearly impossible for me to walk after spending the whole morning on the toilet. It was really painful. I couldn't leave my room until the evening. When I asked my brother about our night out, he told me that we had visited the pub before returning home. When I asked for more, he became irritated and told me that I shouldn't have become obsessed if I needed every single detail. When I informed him I was having trouble remembering things, he replied it was my fault and not his. I have no idea why he was acting so tense. Usually we have amazing conversations. However, he quickly left and didn't speak with me again that day. I discovered I had bruises on Tuesday. They had either not formed the last time I was bathing or I had not noticed them, but today was the first time I had seen them. I would not have assumed I had slept with someone that night if there hadn't been hickeys on my wrists, hips, and side of my neck. They are around my tummy and on my thighs. It's obvious who they are. Of course, I panicked out. I considered telling my mother, but I didn't want her to be furious with me because she hadn't wanted me to go out with my brother that evening in the first place. Instead, I went to my brother. When I told him about the bruises, he threatened to exclude me from his room once more. When I told him about the hickeys, he instantly decided against it. He asked to see, looking as though he was hiding something. After some hesitation about what they were, he consented once I showed him the ones I could. He lost it when I asked him what had transpired the previous Saturday night. He raged at me to stop inquiring about that night, claiming that it had nothing to do with the pub and that once he brought me home, I had probably gone out and done it alone. He told me to leave his room and to stop treating him like he knew something. He also told me not to tell my mother about the bruises. After leaving, I told my mother. She didn't respond all that strongly. She seems unsurprised. She informed me that she would be taking my brother on a drive and that they would return shortly. They were out until so late that I dozed off. My mother woke me up the first thing I saw after being gone for a while, telling me she loved me and would never allow someone to mistreat me again. I am still unaware of the reason behind her apology. I went to school and everything was fine, but I spent the entire day without seeing my brother, so I wasn't sure if he was okay or if I had gotten him into trouble. This morning, I sat my brother and mother down and informed them that I knew they knew something that I didn't. I was curious as to what transpired that evening. My mother burst into tears. She never sheds a tear. She screamed that my brother needed to tell me, then hurriedly disappeared into her room and shut the door. When I asked my brother right away what she meant, he became agitated and accusing. He added that I should be grateful that my brother cleaned up the pieces, as he always does, and that this was all my responsibility and that my mother was furious because I messed up that night. My family is not like this at all. Not my brother for sure. I continued to push him because I was so perplexed. Then he began to explain what had transpired to me. He stated I went to the toilet to throw up because my drink was tampered with. After I stayed there for a time, he went to look for me and said, using far more crude language, that there was a guy attempting to get his way with me. I told him I didn't believe him when he said he took me home. My beverages were never shared with anyone but him and his buddies, and I can never have imagined what happened to me happening in a public lavatory. The evidence is inconsistent with that. I told him I just wanted the truth as I broke down in tears. He claimed to have given me the whole truth and I could accept it or reject it. I told him I despised him and I'm not proud of myself for it. He was lying to me about something like this while he was supposed to be my best buddy. Since it was one of his pals, I questioned him about his honesty and I'm not proud of myself for it either. He said I had no idea what I was talking about and labeled me crazy. I then inquired as to what he had done. All I wanted to do as a child was say the words. He let out a startled yell at that. He responded, how dare I call him an idiot to my accusation. If I ever mentioned something like that again, he threatened to kick my fucking teeth in. He stated, I could just say that if I really wanted to sleep with him. That was too much for me to take, so I walked out. After entering my room, I shut the door. After a few hours, I received an SMS from an unidentified number. It indicated that I needed to phone this person because it was one of my brother's friends. He was aware of the conflict and he wanted to be upfront about what he knew. Yes, I did. And I'm sorry I didn't. He began by claiming that he should have told me sooner, but he didn't know what had happened until my brother told him this morning. My brother had put a spike in my drink. It seems that his pals didn't worry when I appeared to be getting drunker more quickly than them since they simply assumed I was a lightweight. The rest of what he knows is only what my brother told him. We all took a taxi home. I don't think I could rewrite what he said without throwing up, so I'm just going to copy and paste the text. Yes, we did let you people go home and drop off first. We didn't really think we had to stay, but looking back, I really wish we had because Paul stated he could take care of you on his own. I inquired about your well-being from him. He said, yeah, everything's cool. You were just a little hungover on Sunday. However, he did message me after your fight to let me know what actually transpired. Do you really want to know? Paul claimed to be completely inebriated after having sex with you, yet he also gave off the impression of being the most level-headed person that night. He claimed that you didn't care about what was going on, so he believed everything was fine. However, it just felt wrong to me. I apologize for not informing you sooner. Shane may not be aware of what transpired, but Paul ought to have informed you. I'm not sure if that's typical of you guys, but it felt inappropriate because you were obviously intoxicated, like occasionally losing consciousness. He claimed to have given you anything else when you two arrived home, but neither he nor I were informed. I've been limited to staring at the screen the entire time. I'm still in my room. I've already had 3 bouts of illness. I simply get such a sense of dread whenever I hear my brother walking down the hallway. I have no idea what to do. How he could have done this to me is beyond me. It was meant that we would be great friends, but I'm his fucking sister. I still trust him, even if I'm not sure why now. I'm not sure how I should feel about him. Even though he's family, I detest what he's done. I doubt I'll ever be able to forgive him. I've been unable to depart. My mother seems to already be aware of it, so I'm not sure if I should let her know. I'm completely lost. My family is devoted to one another. Our closeness has always been uncanny. I simply cannot decide what to do. I honestly want to think that he was intoxicated and didn't realize what he was doing, but I'm not sure. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a conversation with my brother, show him the text from his friend, and try to get him to just admit it. I will be visiting the hospital shortly as well, in case there is anything else that can be done. People advised him to tell his sweetheart, I'll find a way to get in touch with you. In any case, I don't think he truly loves her. This is where the stories end for the time being, but if anyone wants any more updates, I will provide them. It's past midnight. I'm worn out. I'm sorry I ever came here to post.